anyone watching. In the past on my channel I've made educational videos in association with literature. Today I'm going to be analysing the language of the infamous YouTuber Onision from a linguistic perspective. People often refer to Onision as a manipulator. I'm going to try and find out if Onision uses language to portray power over others and to manipulate his viewers. But first I need to increase my intellect. I'm ready. The mode of this text is spoken and its channel is a video. It functions as a persuasive text to try and get viewers to believe in his innocence, but it also has the secondary function to argue against any claims made against him. The audience that Onision is targeting is clearly fans of him, as he directly addresses the audience as you guys, but also people who think he is guilty of child grooming. To put this video into a little bit more context, it was the first uploaded in a series of many videos that claimed his innocence and told his side of the story, in reference to the allegations made against him of child grooming and abuse.
Vegetarian body!
It's difficult to determine whether or not this video is scripted. It's arguable that a lot of what James is saying isn't deliberately picked. However, it still portrays his power and manipulation over his audience, even indirectly. In the video, Onision makes use of the semantic field of negativity when referring to the people that believe he is guilty. For example, the words hate, ruin, and despise. This makes the audience associate people criticising Onision with negativity and the ruining of lives. This makes these people seem inherently bad and makes Onision seem like a victim. Onision also makes use of a positive semantic field when referring to his ex-girlfriend Shiloh. For example, the words amazing, brilliant, passionate. How could an abuser use such positive language when referring to a woman that he left? It's arguable that positivity is used to show that he doesn't hold a grudge and looks back on the relationship fondly. This contradicts Shiloh's claims of emotional abuse and persuades the viewer to believe Greg's story.
Some people on the internet decided to call me a pedophile. This person says I'm 14 and 5.
Pragmatics refers to the intention behind the language used. What is the text producer trying to convey to the audience through the use of language? In Onision's case, some persuasive devices are used to manipulate the viewer. Onision doesn't go out of his way to use specific dates or factual evidence when telling his story. In other words, his response is entirely emotional. Though statistical evidence is persuasive, as is emotive language. His use of raw emotion is manipulative. James also makes it the responsibility of the viewer to prove his claims. For example, the quotes, "I want you guys to confirm I'm not going to make it my responsibility." This too is manipulative. He assumes his power over the viewer using the stative verb want. You will do what he wants. He doesn't need to prove his claims, that's your problem. This is known as an embedded assumption. Perhaps the most obvious manipulation tactic used by Onision is his use of synthetic personalization, for example using the personal pronouns I and you. Synthetic personalization is a concept thought up by Norman Fairclough and argues that advertisers use direct address towards a large audience to make them feel as though they are being targeted singularly. It's more persuasive that way because they feel special. In Onision's case, he's using synthetic personalization to shame the viewer for ever believing in his guilt.
What kind of things did you snort up your nose on spring break? 2.
Prosodics is a framework referring to how something sounds in spoken language, for example, volume and tone. In Onision's video, pauses and non-fluency features are used. For example, and This is telling of the lack of editing in the video. Though the lack of editing at first may seem insignificant, it's actually very important in manipulation. The audience believes that this response is raw and emotional because there's no editing, therefore he has nothing to hide. In contrast to this, he actually does, he just isn't saying what he wants to hide.
Back, my neighbor said that I should do some bulldozing in my backyard.
Onision makes use of the influential power he has because of his media presence, to manipulate the audience. He uses emotive language and embedded assumptions to manipulate the viewer. And he also uses synthetic personalization to persuade the audience to be on his side. But do Onision's manipulation tactics work? The short answer is no, they don't, because no one actually believes in Onision's innocence to begin with. It's a massive assumption now that he is guilty, and therefore no amount of manipulation tactics that he uses within his language are enough to sway the viewers. This video isn't intended as hate towards any party who may agree or disagree with Onision, and isn't intended as hate towards Onision either. It's merely looking at his language use from an academic perspective in order to dig deeper into his manipulation. James has admitted on several occasions that he is a manipulator by using his acting in many videos. Thanks for watching this video. I'm sorry that it's a tiny bit short and I probably won't upload for another 6 months, but thanks anyway. Please subscribe to my channel. Bye.
Get another hateful blog to the pile of hateful blogs about me. Know that you are wrong, and eventually you will likely come around. Ta-da!